Of course, this is a Patreon select pick for us to review. And once again, you can join our Patreon, the link down below. And you yourself, if you've joined the Patreon, you have an opportunity to tell us what movies we can review on future episodes, just like Tyler did.
Thank you once again for Tyler for continuing the, the Ford v. Ferrari v. Lamborghini cinematic universe with this adaptation on the life of Ferruccio Lamborghini, the man behind the legend. And once again, welcome back to the show. I'm one of your hosts, Kyle Goethe from GoatFilmReviews.com.
I'm Nick from the St. Paul Filmcast. Thanks for finding us. Thanks for watching. And for our loyal fans, sincerely, thank you for continuing to support the show. Hey, Kyle and I are members of the Minnesota Film Critics Alliance. Check out that webpage for critic reviews as well as ours. Yes, we do have that Patreon. Another thing you can do, hit the like and subscribe button. It's a little thing that you can do that's a big thing for us. So today we're talking about for 2024. I don't know how I missed this movie. That was a good year for the horror movies and all that stuff.
For everything, yeah.
Yeah, for everything. Let's talk about Lamborghini.
All right. Ferruccio Lamborghini started his business with tractors, but eventually he found a passion for cars, which led to an empire. This passion also led him down a path of personal destruction through a public feud with Ferrari and several familial betrayals.
Okay, this is directed by Robert Moresco. He's co-author of the film Crash, where he wrote with Paul Haggis. They both kind of wrote that together. And guess what? When you get an Oscar, they're pretty much producers let you have a little way of doing passion projects. And from my research and from my understanding, this is Roger's kind of a passion project for him to do.
Yeah, he had written a couple other similar things to the racing industry. So I felt like he was probably leaning towards this for a while.
And you understand, this was still in 2024 when everybody knew Michael Mann was working on making his version of Ferrari.
Yeah, when this finally came out, I kept thinking to myself, wait, I thought there was a Ferrari movie. I thought, for a second, I thought this was the Michael Mann movie coming out. So
yeah, and this comes after Ford versus the Ferrari. This comes after Rush. So we've also been bombarded with a lot of these automaker, and we just reviewed in 1988 the Tucker Man.
That's true.
So we've done a lot of movies with films about automakers, and of course we kind of missed this one, and thanks for Tyler pointing out to me. So what's with your take already?
So first of all, I want to give some big props to Frank Grillo. I like seeing Frank Grillo in movies. I think that he is a solid character actor who, much like previous people we've talked about, doesn't really get the love that he deserves in there. I think in this one, I wish that he'd been paired with a more competent director who can pull performances, because Frank Grillo also kind of seems like the kind of guy to me, kind of like Dave Bautista, where like he fits a zone really well, and if he works with a really great director who can pull more out of him, who can collaborate with him, I think we can see more. I think he had some really great stuff in the Purge films that he was in. I think that's one of the reasons why his character stands out in the MCU.
Captain America ones?
Yeah, he stands out in those movies, but I think because he has people that care about his character, because it's a limited runtime he gets in all three of those movies he's in, and I think he stands out.
Okay, so rounding out with Frank, you also have Mina Savarni and Gabriel Byrne. I think he's playing Ferrari in this movie.
The wordless Ferrari speaks almost no lines.
So I think you have the contextual thing of Lamborghini transferring from the war also to successful car maker. And throughout the whole movie, I'm trying to say, where is the drama?
Where's the story? Right. Yeah, because this movie makes the cardinal sin of biopics in that it is, I have to tell my whole life story before I go on stage. And I think that there are interesting stories within this life, but when you look at the amount of time that passes in this 95-minute movie and compare it to the 2.5-hour Ford v Ferrari, which is about one singular event in these guys' life, or even Ferrari, the movie Ferrari, which I was not a big fan of, but like it is about specific time period in Ferrari's life, and you dive into it, you stretch that part out. This movie is like, we got to get to all the beats out of his life before we get to the end.
There's a great play, and I'm going to champion the film. Martin Scorsese's The Aviator, but you have a great visual. It doesn't have to do words, of Howard Hughes' character, where he just takes his hands and he glides over the plane that he just discovered. But then he crosses over, he does the same thing with Ava Gardner. You get under his understanding of his two passions, aviations and women, with 10 seconds.
Yep.
Something like that needed to be in this movie. You didn't have to do, you can do the dream sequence of him competing, racing, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
The fancy stuff. You have to understand, what the hell is his passion about? Is it making these cars that almost you take your business? Or is the passion of, not really caring about your family or something like that?
Yeah.
I just don't think we get. This is a film that has all car, no drive.
Yeah, and it's a movie that, it is all tell and no show. I mean, we're constantly told that, like, he's this genius of auto manufacturing, but at the same time, what did he do what do we see him do in the film? We see him tell other guys, I want a race car that a regular guy can drive. That's the extent of his genius that's presented in the story. Right. Even at the end of the film, one of the title cards comes up and says that, is it the Muari, the new second car that he was designing, was voted the most beautiful car in the world. We never see them create that car. We jump ahead in time to just that. And so, like, there's nothing that in the story that really matters to that car. If it's the most beautiful car in the world, fantastic, but we didn't see it in the movie. Like, we saw it at the end, we didn't see the journey that made it. You know?
Right. It's almost like let's talk about Ava Gardner, how beautiful it is, and you never see her. Right?
Yeah, at the end of The Aviator, if Ava Gardner, you cut her out of the movie and you say, Ava Gardner was gorgeous. At the end, it's like, well, that's great, but it doesn't really tell us anything about the finishing of the movie.
So I would love to see, especially for somebody who's obsessed and passionate about something, I want to see it, and almost it hurts to be that passionate.
Yeah.
And you see a little bit of it, that he's losing a lot by gaining so much. Mm-hmm. I think you need something like that with that story. I think you and I know we're writing that the more success he's gaining, he's losing something else, even including his identity. Which I think the film was trying to encapsulate. He's becoming a brand rather than an individual.
Yeah, and I think the screenplay could have been better if they had chosen to make the bulk of the film about part 2, about the designing of this car, the switching from the tractors to the vehicles, and if they had peppered it with flashbacks from what part 1 was. Because I think part 1 is like half the movie, and it's the least interesting part of the movie. Yeah. Like, I'm sorry, and maybe it's just the way it's presented. I didn't really find anything that pulled me in there at all until the time jump.
Oh my God, he's a filmmaker from Italy, and he has an affair outside his marriage. Shocking.
Yeah, throw a dart at a board.
Shocking. Right. And just not very much uses of Mina. You have Mina Savarno. She won an Academy Award.
Yeah.
I like more. Sable gave a bird.
She's barely in the movie in this film, and she's barely in Sound of Freedom, and she has more stuff going on in that film in her limited time than this one. You know, I mean, like, it's just, we're using these people in really odd places. I think she has very little characterization where I actually had to question, is she the same woman we saw in part 1, the younger version? Is that her growing up? I don't know. Like,
I looked at reviews from people who are obsessed with cars, who are not film critics, they're actually car critics, who understand when they watch the movie, they're very upset. Like, show the things that we like about Lamborghini. They didn't really show the mechanics of the operations.
Exactly.
Of building that.
The designing of that car was a really interesting idea that they just passed over.
Right. And the racing, they're going like 30 miles per hour.
Yeah.
And they're trying to make the sound effects speed up. And the cars are like...
You know what I kept thinking of during the racing scenes? I kept thinking of Hot Fuzz. And how they, like, would make it look like a really high-speed pursuit down, like, a 30-mile-an-hour road.
Right. Even the racing scene is so boring that the cameraman looks up to the tower and then goes back down.
Maybe there's a plane up there, you know?
Right. Maybe there's a cloud up there or something. So... it's an interesting movie to see because you want to show filmmakers what you need to do to encapsulate drama, and that is you have to show passion or obsession or both.
Yeah, because it definitely comes off as TV movie. If you got up and grabbed your popcorn, you didn't miss anything. You know, if you went to the bathroom before the commercial break, you're not losing anything.
It feels like almost an hour and a half commercial.
Yeah.
Of just great little scenes on the road, and and I'm about ready to say, buy a Lamborghini today.
Yeah, but we have that sometimes with passion projects. Every once in a while, you get a filmmaker who gets to finally make the movie they want to make, and it's this grandiose, brilliant piece of cinema. And sometimes you're too close to the material, where it's like the thing you want to make so bad.
Yes.
And then when it finally comes out, it's like it's missing. It's missing heart. It's missing characterization and soul.
Yeah. What do you guys think of Lamborghini? If you have seen it, I think you can catch it on Tubi. That's how I did.
Yeah, and maybe give us, comparatively to a couple other recent films like Ford v Ferrari or the Ferrari biopic that we saw from Michael Mann. Let us know kind of what you think about those ones in that juxtaposition, because we're interested.
I mean,
in how
for all the faults for Tucker, I understand that character.
Oh yeah, and Tucker as a character had many faults.
Right. Yeah, and Ford Ferrari, I understand. Henry Ford Jr.'s passion. We're gonna win no matter what. Well,
yeah, as a protagonist, I need to see what you want in life.
Yeah.
And I feel like we see it through what's said, but not through what's shown.
And then, especially Michael Mann's Ferrari. For all the faults of that movie, and I understand that character.
I see the passion.
Yeah. That's all I care about.
Yep.
I don't care about money. All I care about is, I don't even care about my drivers. I just care about this damn car right here. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. So let us know your thoughts down below. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for joining us. And like Nick mentioned as well, head down to the Patreon link below. You can join for as low as $1 a month, or at $5 a month, you can actually be one of the people that tells us which movie to cover. So if you want to be like Tyler and suggest some more robot films or some more racing films, we'd love to talk about them. We enjoy that part so much, is hearing what you have, what your favorite films are to hear us talk about. So thank you for joining us. You can find all my film reviews over at goatfilmreviews.com.
And you can find my show at the St. Paul Filmcast anywhere you find podcasts. And guess what? You can listen while you're driving.